area and the prevention. So let's talk about this. Diabetes, when sugar stays in the blood, that is what basically diabetes is. So we're talking about what is diabetes. This is our first thing. When we have excess sugar in the blood, basically we call it diabetes, as simple as that. Because sugar is not expected to stay in the blood and be high in the blood all the time. As a matter of fact, it shouldn't be high. The way God has made the body is everything is set to be in a perfect balance. Because something homeostasis. So if it comes to salt, God has set the body in such a way that the salt level in your blood should remain constant. If it is not constant, you got issues. Similarly, if your sugar, your blood sugar is also over the charts, then also there's a problem. And that is what we call diabetes. Typically, diabetes shouldn't happen unless there's an issue, and the issue is with your your pancreas, or if you cannot use insulin well. When you eat food, the way it works is food is converted to glucose, and then that glucose, by the work or action of insulin acts as a key. So glucose can be floating in the blood, but as long as your body is able to release insulin sees it as insulin acts as a key to unlock your cell, and so the gates of your cell become open, and then the glucose or the food that you ate, which has been converted to glucose, now rushes into the cell. So as long as insulin is working, then whatever food you eat, when it's converted to glucose in the blood has to supply the glucose to the cells, because insulin has been released. I don't know if I'm making sense. I think I'm making it more complicated than I want to. So basically, if you eat, or when you eat, you are converting the food to glucose. Of course, there are certain other things that the body, like amino acids and fats and stuff, but ultimately glucose is the source of energy, and glucose must be picked up by your cells from the blood. When you eat and it goes into your blood, into your stomach, your intestines, your small intestines, your body picks it up. So, for example, if you eat fufu, the body doesn't pick up fufu. It has to break the fufu down into glucose, and then the glucose is the one that is absorbed into your blood. So think of every food converted into glucose. As long as it gets into your blood, then it has to be picked up by your cells, all your body cells. They all need energy to perform, like the muscles, my mouth twitching, my brain thinking and communicating, all of them use energy. That energy is in the form of the glucose that was picked up from the yam that I ate, or from the fufu that I ate, or from the whatever food that you ate. But for the body to be able to pick up that glucose into your cells and use it as useful energy, it has to have enough insulin, which is basically the key. Like if you want to enter your house, you have to unlock the door, and then the gate to open, and then you go in. Similarly, for the glucose you need for energy to enter your cell, insulin has to come and open the door. So let's look at insulin as a key. So insulin turns the door open, and then once the door is open, glucose is, here I am, use me for energy. And then you get energy to walk, to work, to run, to think, to whatever else you use your body for. That is how it works. But the unfortunate thing is, in this image, I try to depict it. So look at the insulin trying to bind to the cell. That round bucket red cell is waiting for insulin to bind. As soon as the insulin binds, then that hole opens for glucose to enter. And when glucose enters, then the sparkling, which is the energy, gets generated, so the cell becomes energetic and it can produce certain things. But in order not to go into detail, just look at it as energy for your cell and for the body as a whole. So that is how it works. And diabetes is a problem when the insulin that you have cannot basically work. You are producing the insulin from your pancreas. Insulin is a hormone. If it's not working properly, then of course the food you ate, your body will absorb it all right into your blood, but there's no key to open the cells for the glucose to go into your cells. So the insulin gets stuck in your blood. And as a result, we call it high blood sugar, because your sugar levels are high. God doesn't want it to be high. He wants it to go into the cell. But if your insulin is not working, then it gets stuck in the blood. And that is where all the problems happen. Starting from a case where we call pre-diabetes, in which case you have not been diagnosed completely as being diabetic, but your sugars are high enough to be worrisome. Your sugars are hanging out in your blood so much, instead of all being picked up, there's some excess there. And for that matter, we call it that you have pre-diabetes. That is a warning stage. The good thing is that pre-diabetes can be reversed. And so that is where it starts. Now, once you're able to stop pre-diabetes from going forward, then you don't get full-blown diabetes. The next thing then is, if you don't stop it, then it progresses into what we call type 2 diabetes, which is the main focus of our discussion. There are several kinds of diabetes. So type 2 diabetes becomes the one which is the most common form of diabetes. See, it's the one where the body resists insulin, or insulin doesn't work. And then also you don't produce enough insulin. So two things: that you're not producing enough insulin from your pancreas, or the insulin you are producing is not working properly, or what we say, it is resistant. You may just have to mention that there's also type 1 diabetes, which usually affects younger folks. I mean, it's creeping up into a little more older folks, but mostly if you have diabetes type 1, it means you had it as a child, or young people usually have that. That one, you have no ability to produce insulin at all. I mean, they may be a little bit, but technically you don't have enough insulin to convert your glucose into your body or into energy.